Hey, it's Christina, and it is day 2. I'm at my first break of the day, and I went in this morning to get all my stuff ready, and we got these cool notebooks, and my notebook was nowhere to be found, and I had all of yesterday's notes in it, and I'm just like, son of a gun, like, what in the world? So I went to the back table and asked the ladies, I'm like, hey, did anyone turn in a notebook? They're like, no. And then finally, like, I had to start a new notebook, and this lady eventually came up to me and she's like, oh, we think we found yours. But then, like, someone ripped out pages of the notebook and it's like now falling apart. And I'm just like, who does that? Like, there was nothing in this notebook any more important than anyone else's. So anyway, now I'm back to my super sparkly. And okay, so I have some things for you. Some nuggets, some gems. Okay, so we learned about the Hero's 2 journey. And I don't know if you've ever looked into it or learned anything about it, but here it goes. Here are the stages. First of all, you have this hero, right? And let me back up and say that Michael Haig and Christopher Vogler are two guys that really developed this concept, and they work in the movies in plots to determine what makes an awesome movie and what produces like a movie that or a plot that really draws in people and gets buy-in, right? Okay, so you have this hero, and he has 2 journeys, of course, okay? So the first level is called the call to adventure. So the hero has this call. He has this wind and, oh my goodness. He has something inside of him that's drawing him to go do something, right? And this I see in myself, and you too, I know it. Then there's the refusal of the call. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I just don't have the time, whatever it is. And then the third, meeting the mentors. Finally, you find someone who is doing this. And we've all been there, and you're like, oh, that person is doing what I want to do. And then you start to follow them. And then the crossing of the threshold. So somehow you have to go, and you have to go outside of your comfort zone, and you have to take a risk. And you're like, oh my gosh. And that brings you in from your ordinary world, and now you are going into this supernatural world. You are having to take action, leave the comfort of your home, your regular life, and you know, whether it's at going to an event or starting a new business, whatever it may be, okay? And then now comes the tests and the challenges. So of course you get hit, you get slapped, right? Just like I did with the reseller premium and the redemption. Yeah, you get this slap and you're like, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. But then you have a deep enough why to say, well, yeah, it is. And this is still the only way I can get to what I want to do. And so you continue on. And the next step is the death rebirth. So your old self has to die. It sounds so dramatic. And it is, right? This is what makes movies. So your old self has to die. You have to have this new rebirth because you have to be a new person to go on and become this new person on this new journey. Your old person cannot go on this new journey because they would never last. Okay? And then you have this atonement and this new meaning, right? And you're finding this aha. And for me, it was realizing that we are truly helping people, right? And then we have more tests and challenges. You're in it. And you're like, I am too far in to return. And so you continue to get hit with tests and challenges, but you continue to go forward. And then you have the transformation. And the transformation isn't the goal that you originally thought. Well, it is, but then there's a second transformation goal that's hit, which is the transformation. That's why it's called the Hero's 2 journeys. Because the hero usually does get the intended goal. Sometimes he doesn't. He. And sometimes they do, but they're always getting the transformation. That's the unexpected outcome, the thing that they really needed the most that they didn't know they needed. And then after that transformation is the rebirth, right? Then they are completely new. They will never go back to who they were before, and then they continue on their path to mastery. Okay, that was a lot. And I'm gonna give you some more pointers here, some more tips, some more points that I learned. Okay, so the goal is to create or find that supernatural world. And it's not, okay, the average people we're involved with right now in our lives are saying, what are you doing there? Like, why are you doing that? But the people in your supernatural world are actually saying, why aren't you doing more of this? Why are you setting the bar so low for yourself? But the people on the outside world, the world before we go on our journey and find our supernatural world, they're the ones that are really kind of holding us back and in resubstantiating that fear. Okay, so we all pretty much know what we need to do, but the key is we don't have the courage yet. We know it. And I know I've talked about this before. There's more to just knowing the information, okay? Because we all know it, but how come none of us are doing the very things that we know we should be doing? It's because we're freaking scared. We don't have the courage yet, okay? Now, I'm trying to do this one-handed, and there's no tabletop. So I'm like trying to put my knee up and balance this book so I can get to the next page. So just bear with me. Okay. We all want the fruit. We want all the results before we put in the labor. You know, we want the harvest before we go and till up the soil, plant the crops, water it, weed it, nurture it. Okay? We all want the fast track, and it just doesn't work that way. And like Mike Tyson said, we all have a plan till we get freaking punched in the face. And that's true. And I feel like I got punched in the face last week. And I had a plan, and it seemed just so great and so simple and so smooth. And then you get punched in the face and you're just like, now what? Now what? Now what do I do? Like, is it even worth it? Because it sucks to get punched in the face. And you ask these high-level folks, I've asked them, that's really loud. And you talk to these experts, and they'll all tell you that their business is still put together with, you know, bubble gum and baling twine, you know, or bubble gum and duct tape, whatever, depending on what, you know, side of the country you're on. These experts are still iterating and testing and revamping and redoing and, you know, reiterating and changing things. There is no perfect plan. And it's a delusion when you're first starting out that you look at these experts and you're like, they've got it all together. Okay? This truly is having to be a mindset change or an identity shift. And this was super, super important to me. So there is in all of us an unhealed source of continued pain. It's a wound that's causing our story, our identity, our mindset. It's causing that to hold us back by creating fear in us. It's stopping us. And we need to kill off that old identity in order to get this new identity. Like, we have to push past those wounds because it is stopping us. And there's going to be a point, and I'm at that point where it's like, it's going to be harder to unwind everything than it is to push past and go forward. And that is the deciding point where you're like, okay, like there's no going back. Okay. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And that is so true. And that there becomes that point when you're like, it's more costly to go back than it is to go forward. That is when you know that your head is heavy with wearing that crown. There is that outer journey, and that outer journey to everyone else looks like you're gaining money and stuff and prestige and significance. And then the inner journey is actually who we are transforming into, who we are becoming. And that is the most beautiful part, because that is the fulfillment. that is where we truly get filled up. And the outer journey is defined by others, while the inner journey is defined by ourselves. And I like to even fine tune that and say it's defined by knowing who created me, right? And so here's this identity statement, and I gotta go, so I gotta leave you with this. But the identity statement that says, I will do whatever it takes to blank, like your biggest goal. Just don't ask me to blank, because that's just not me. And that second blank, don't ask me to blank, like that is the thing. That is the thing, that is the wound, that is the valley that you have to go through in order to transform. And the very thing that you say you absolutely will not do is the very thing that you have to do to progress. That's heavy, and that sucks, because we all know that one thing for our own selves, and it's the very thing that we're so reluctant. And that is also why it's called the reluctant hero, is because ask me anything, tell me to do anything but that one thing. I'm not doing that thing. And it's the very thing that is keeping us back from getting the success and moving up and having that breakthrough. So that was a long time. This is like such a long video, and I've said too much. I don't even know what I've said at this point. So heroes have to ask themselves different questions, not how to go through the pain, but if they're willing to go through the pain. Okay? Heroes have to ask themselves different questions. Are you willing to go through the pain? Am I willing to go through the pain? And if we're not, just quit now. That's a happy note. On that note, I will update you at the next break that I can. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.